Differential diagnosis of pancytopenia. So in this with hypocellular bone marrow, we have this acquired aplastic anemia and constitutional aplastic anemia. So in constitutional aplastic anemia, Fanconi's anemia, dyskeratosis congenita and others. So today's topic of discussion is aplastic anemia. So aplastic anemia, it is with hypocellular bone marrow. Constitutional aplastic anemia, it's Fanconi's anemia, dyskeratosis congenita and others. So this aplastic anemia, it is pancytopenia with bone marrow hypocellularity. So acquired aplastic anemia, so this is distinguished from iatrogenic aplasia from marrow hypocellularity after intensive cytotoxic chemotherapy for cancer and from usually accidental physical and chemical injury as in radiation poisoning. Acquired aplastic anemia. See, iatrogenic aplasia. So why does this iatrogenic aplasia occurs? After intensive cytotoxic chemotherapy for cancer and from usually accidental physical and chemical injury as in radiation poisoning. And aplastic anemia, so this can also be constitutional. So genetic diseases such as Fanconi's anemia and dyskeratosis congenita usually but not always present in early childhood and have typical physical anomalies. So one is acquired aplastic anemia, iatrogenic aplasia, and then we have this constitutional due to genetic disorders like Fanconi's anemia and dyskeratosis congenita usually but not always. They present in early childhood and have typical physical anomalies. Telomere diseases and hematological manifestations of mutations in genes. Telomere diseases and also hematological manifestations of mutations in genes such as GATA2, RUNX1 and MPL. They can present as marrow failure in normal appearing adults. Adults will be normal appearing, but this telomere diseases along with GATA2, RUNX1 and MPL, they can present as marrow failure. Acquired aplastic anemia, it is often stereotypical in its manifestations. So what is the presentation in acquired aplastic anemia? Abrupt onset of low blood counts in a previously well young adult. Patient will be previously normal, so there will be abrupt onset of low blood counts. Seronegative hepatitis or a course of an incriminated medical drug may precede the onset. So before developing this low blood counts, patient could have had a course of a medical drug or a seronegative hepatitis. So the diagnosis in these instances, then it is uncomplicated. Sometimes blood count depression is moderate or incomplete, resulting in anemia, leukopenia and thrombocytopenia in some combination. Sometimes what happens, no? So this blood count depression is moderate or incomplete. Aplastic anemia, so this is related to both PNH and to MDS, and a clear distinction among these disorders may not be possible. So this aplastic anemia, no, so this is related to both PNH and to MDS, and a clear distinction among these may not be possible because hypocellular MDS 20%, it is difficult to distinguish, and so this it is also related to PNH. So classification of aplastic anemia and single cytopenias. We have inherited or constitutional Fanconi's anemia, dyskeratosis congenita or telomere disease, Schwann-Diamond syndrome and Schwarzman-Diamond syndrome. And then we have this familial aplastic anemia or leukemia predisposition syndrome. So this familial aplastic anemia is due to mutations in GATA2, RUNX1, CTLA4 and others. And then we have non-hematological syndromes like Downs, Dubovich and Sickle. Non-hematological syndromes, Downs, Dubovich and Sickle, which can causes aplastic anemia. And acquired aplastic anemia, secondary to, it can also occur due to radiation, drugs and chemicals, viruses. So what are the viruses which are important? Epstein-Barr virus, infectious mononucleosis, hepatitis, non-A, non-B, non-C hepatitis, and parvovirus B19, transient aplastic crisis, and pure red cell aplasia, HIV. So what are the viruses which are important for aplastic anemia? Epstein-Barr virus, infectious mononucleosis, non-A, non-B, non-C hepatitis, parvovirus B19, which causes transient aplastic crisis or pure red cell aplasia, and HIV or AIDS. So what are the immune diseases which causes acquired aplastic anemia? So like eosinophilic fasciitis, hypoimmunoglobulinemia, large granular lymphocytosis, thymoma or thymic carcinoma, and graft versus host disease, PNH, pregnancy and idiopathic. So these are the immune diseases which cause acquired aplastic anemia. So what are the immune diseases? Eosinophilic fasciitis, hypoimmunoglobulinemia, large granular lymphocytosis, thymoma or thymic carcinoma, graft versus host disease, PNH, pregnancy and idiopathic. Viruses, Epstein-Barr virus, hepatitis, non-A, non-B, non-C, parvovirus B19, cytopenias, and also aplastic anemia and single cytopenia like pure red cell aplasia, neutropenia, it could be due to idiopathic drugs, toxins, and large granular lymphocytosis, thrombocytopenia. Okay, and then what is the epidemiology? So in the epidemiology, the incidence of aplastic anemia, acquired aplastic anemia in Europe and Israel is 2 cases per million persons. So men and women, no, so they are affected with equal frequency, but age distribution is biphasic. So what is the age distribution? It is biphasic age distribution. So the major peak is seen in teens and 20s, and the second rise it is seen in older adults. Major peak in teens and 20s, second rise in older adults. Etiology. So the origins of aplastic anemia have been inferred from several recurring clinical associations. These relationships are not reliable in an individual patient and may not be etiologic. In addition, although most cases of aplastic anemia are radiopathic, little other than history separates these cases from those with a presumed etiology such as drug exposure. Then coming to radiation. So radiation, marroaplasia is a major acute sequelae of radiation. So if a patient has received any radiation, so then marroaplasia, it is a acute sequelae of that radiation. So what does this radiation do? So this radiation, it damages the DNA, and this radiation also damages the tissues dependent on active mitosis. So these are particularly susceptible. Radiation damages the DNA, and also radiation damages the tissues dependent on active mitosis. So nuclear accidents involve not only power plant workers but also employees of the hospitals, laboratories and industry, as well as innocents who are exposed to stolen, misplaced or misused sources. So the radiation dose, no, this can be approximated from the rate and degree of decline in blood counts. So dosimetry by reconstruction of the exposure. So this can help to estimate the patient's prognosis, and so this dosimetry by reconstruction of the exposure. So this is also done to protect the medical personnel from contact with radioactive tissues and excreta. Okay, so radiation dose, no, so this can be approximated from the rate and degree of decline in blood counts. MDS and leukemia, but probably not aplastic anemia. So these are the late effects of radiation. So what are the late effects of radiation? MDS and leukemia. Myeloplastia is an acute sequelae of radiation. Chemicals. Benzene is a notorious cause of bone marrow failure. So which is a notorious cause? Benzene. Epidemiological, clinical and laboratory data link benzene to aplastic anemia, and even benzene is also linked to acute leukemia and also blood and bone marrow abnormalities. So benzene is linked to aplastic anemia, acute leukemia, blood and bone marrow abnormalities. For leukemia, incidence is correlated with cumulative exposure, but susceptibility must also be important because only a minority of even heavily exposed workers develop myelotoxicity. So for leukemia, incidence, it is correlated with cumulative exposure, but susceptibility must also be important because only a minority of even heavily exposed workers develop myelotoxicity. The employment history is important, especially in industries where benzene is used for a secondary purpose such as a solvent. Benzene related blood diseases have declined with regulation of industrial exposure, and although benzene is no longer generally available as a household solvent, exposure to its metabolites occur in the normal diet and in the environment. So this benzene, no, so this is no longer available as a household solvent. Exposure to its metabolites occur in the normal diet and in the environment. The association between marrow failure and other chemicals is much less well substantiated, and further there is scant direct evidence of marrow failure as a late effect of exposure even to benzene. It's not available, but metabolites, no, in the normal diet and in the environment, so that also leads to bone marrow failure. And some drugs also have been implicated in aplastic anemia. Drugs like cytotoxic drugs like alkylating agents, antimetabolites, antimitotics, and some antibiotics, and benzene. And then we also have low probability chloramphenicol and insecticides. Many chemotherapeutic drugs have marrow suppression as a major toxicity. So these chemotherapeutic drugs, the effects are dose dependent and will occur in all recipients. So the chemotherapeutic drugs, the toxicity is dose dependent. In contrast, idiosyncratic reactions to a large and diverse group of drugs may lead to aplastic anemia and without a clear dose response relationship. So idiosyncratic reactions can occur due to a large diverse group of drugs that will lead to aplastic anemia, but here there is no clear dose response relationship. So a large international study in Europe in the 1980s, so this quantitated drug relationships, especially for NSAIDs, sulfonamides, thyrostatic drugs, some psychotropics, penicillamine, allopurinol and gold. So what are these drugs? Non-steroidal analgesics, sulfonamides, thyrostatic drugs, some psychotropics, penicillamine, allopurinol and gold. And association does not equal causation. Okay, association, but it does not equal causation. There may be association, but it does not equal causation. A drug may have been used to treat the first symptoms of bone marrow failure. Antibiotics for fever or a preceding viral illness, or provoke the first symptom of a pre-existing disease. That is, the disease would have been pre-existing disease, but it would have provoked that pre-existing disease. So Peticay by non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents administered to the thrombocytopenic patient would have been thrombocytopenic, and if we administer this NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents, so this will provoke the pre-existing disease. So in the context of total drug use, idiosyncratic reactions, although individually devastating, so these are rare events, and risk estimates are usually lower when determined in population-based studies, and the low absolute risk is also made more obvious. Even a 10 or 20-fold increase in risk translates in a rare disease to just a handful of drug-induced aplastic anemia cases among hundreds of thousands of exposed persons. Infections. Transient mild blood count depression is frequent in the course of many viral and bacterial infections. So many viral and bacterial infections, they cause mild blood count depression, and aplastic anemia can rarely follow infectious mononucleosis. And parvovirus B19 does not usually cause generalized bone marrow failure. So this does not usually cause generalized bone marrow failure. Immunological diseases. Aplasia, it's a major consequence and inevitable cause of death in transfusion associated graft versus host disease. So why this transfusion associated graft versus host disease occurs? Because of this, there is aplasia as a major consequence. So this occurs after infusion of non-irradiated blood products to an immunodeficient recipient. So the recipient is immunodeficient, and that recipient, if he receives this non-irradiated blood products to an immunodeficient recipient, so this will cause aplasia. And this aplastic anemia, it's also strongly associated with the rare collagen vascular syndrome eosinophilic fasciitis. Okay, so this is also associated with the rare collagen vascular syndrome. So this is eosinophilic fasciitis. So this is characterized by painful induration of subcutaneous tissues. So induration will be there in the subcutaneous tissues, and that induration is painful. And thymoma and hypoimmunoglobulin, so these are all the immunological diseases which are associated with aplastic anemia. So thymoma and hypoimmunoglobulinemia are occasional associations, and pancytopenia with marrow hypoplasia can also occur in SLE. So pancytopenia with marrow hypoplasia, this can also occur in SLE. And hepatitis, post-hepatitis marrow failure, so this occurs for 5% of etiologies. So even after hepatitis, patient can have this aplastic anemia. Patients are usually young men. So these young men, they have recovered from a bout of liver inflammation 1 to 2 months earlier, and the subsequent pancytopenia is very severe. That is, patient would have had hepatitis, he would have recovered, and later after 1 to 2 months, patient develops pancytopenia, which is very severe, and the hepatitis is seronegative hepatitis. Non-A, non-B and non-C. Intensive laboratory efforts including deep sequencing have not disclosed any infectious agent, and this hepatitis is presumed to be immune mediated. And fulminant liver failure in childhood can follow seronegative hepatitis, and marrow failure occurs at a high rate in these patients. And pregnancy, aplastic anemia very rarely may occur and recur during pregnancy, and it resolves with delivery or with spontaneous or induced abortion. Even pregnancy, it may occur in pregnancy. Aplastic anemia may occur and recur during pregnancy and resolve with delivery or with spontaneous or induced abortion. Then we have PNH. So an acquired mutation in the PIK-A gene in the hematopoietic stem cell. So this is required for the development of PNH, but PIK-A mutations probably occur commonly in normal individuals. Acquired mutation in the PIK-A gene in the hematopoietic stem cell. So this mutation is required for the development of PNH, and these PIK-A mutations can also occur in normal individuals. So if this PIK-A mutation occurs and if that stem cell proliferates, what will happen is, so there will be a clone of progeny. So this will be deficient in GPI, glycosyl phosphatidyl inositol linked cell surface membrane proteins. So we have a PIG-A mutant. Uh, so this will lead to a clone of progeny. So this will be deficient in glycosyl phosphatidyl inositol linked cell surface membrane proteins. So small clones of deficient cells. So if there are any small clones of this deficient cells which are deficient in this GPI linked cell surface membrane protein, so this can be detected by sensitive flow cytometry test in 1/2 or more of patients with aplastic anemia at the time of presentation. And functional studies of bone marrow from PNH patients, even those with mainly hemolytic manifestations, show evidence of defective hematopoiesis. So PNH patients, so if bone marrow is done in those patients, functional studies, mainly PNH patients, though they have the hemolytic manifestations, but if functional studies of bone marrow are done for these PNH patients, they might show evidence of defective hematopoiesis. And patients with an initial clinical diagnosis of PNH, especially younger individuals, so initially patient would have been diagnosed with PNH, and younger individuals initial diagnosis would be PNH, but later these individuals they develop frank marrow aplasia and pancytopenia. So these diagnosed individuals as PNH, they may later develop frank marrow aplasia and pancytopenia. So patients with an initial diagnosis of aplastic anemia may suffer later from hemolytic PNH years after recovery of blood counts. So initially patient would have been diagnosed as aplastic anemia, but later they may suffer from hemolytic PNH years after recovery of blood counts. And then we have constitutional syndrome. So this constitutional syndromes and then the pathophysiology will be discussed in the next session. So this Fanconi's anemia, it's an autosomal recessive disorder.